Good Friday morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you might be joining us from. Thank you so much for being here. We're just going to let some people get into the room and then we will get started. We have wonderful co-hosts today. We are so excited to start January 2026 in this way, and we're just really happy that you are joining us as well. We are going to be talking about grief and gratitude, and we're going to be doing something a little bit different this time. So I'm going to go through administrative stuff, and then I'm going to close out the slides, and we're just going to talk together as a group of humans. So, Chelsea, Ladybird, and Ned, they'll introduce themselves in a moment, but for now, I'm just going to do a little bit of administrative. They're going to be talking about grief and about gratitude, and we're going to be listening to some music and doing lots of other beautiful reflecting. And then, generally, around the time when we're wrapping up our talking portion, is when we'd love to speak to you. And you can do this in two ways. You can click on the raise hand button and you can speak with us. And if you'd prefer not to do that, you can just type it into the Q&A and I can read it aloud for you. So, two options. And then, the chat is also open for everyone. If something comes up that just resonates with you or you just want to put something in there, please do feel free. So those are the ways you can kind of interact with us as we're going along. And I'm going to stop sharing now and we're all just going to be together with our faces, which is also wonderful. Take it away, Ladybird.
Thank you. Am I unmuted?
You are unmuted.
Yeah. Okay, great. Together with our faces. I love that. Hello. Thank you. Thank you, everyone who's here. My name is Ladybird, and I'm one of the counselors with Mental Health, and probably know some of you on this webinar. And today I get to share a conversation with two remarkable human beings, one who I have known for a little bit of time, and the other one I have just met briefly recently. Ned Buskirk and Chelsea Coleman. And together they are the co-founders of a nonprofit organization called You're Going to Die, or YG2D. This nonprofit is focused on bringing communities together, diverse communities, to tap into the felt experience of grief and awe and gratitude and love, passion, desire, all of the emotions that move through you through the conversations around death and dying and your own mortality and the death and loss of people, beings that you might have lost. The way that I met Ned was through a connection through San Quentin, and I won't go into that full story, but the other piece of work that Chelsea and Ned offer is a program called Alive Inside, which brings this beautiful practice into prisons where the men and women inside get to express themselves and their relationships to grief and mortality in the ways that move them, not in the ways that we teach them or they're told to do it. And that is a tremendous gift of accessing humanity. So Ned came into San Quentin through the program that I was co-founding called the Humane Prison Hospice Project at the time, and brought in this alchemical gift that he has of witnessing and stewarding grief to exist while being in a place of pure delight, if that seems possible. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Ned, to say a little bit more about maybe you, and then Chelsea also, before I just take up the entire hour talking about how wonderful you are.
Oh, you're wonderful. Thanks, Ladybird. So good to be with you all. I'm already emotional. When we did our preparatory call for this, I pretty much sobbed through the whole thing and apologized and was told not to apologize. And also just to name that happened with Sonia, Chelsea, and Ladybird matters a lot because I don't really want to have a job where I can't do that, where I can't show up for the meeting and fall apart. And so maybe in a way I'm inviting all of you who are with us and you, Ladybird and Chelsea and Sonia, to really use this hour together to just be with what's real and raw for you, whatever it might be. And we'll offer some prompts and time to really explore that. But before we do, I just want to take a minute, like I need to settle in here. Often in the cancer patient workshops, especially that I facilitate, there's this moment of arrival and how much I would love to see all your faces, but I know this is our setup. It matters to declare like my heart connecting to your presence. We did an open mic last night where much of the evening, however, we spend a good deal of energy on the people that share and choose to come up on stage and name the hard thing or share a song or poem. The work that happens in that space is as much a part of the witnessing, and the listeners, as it is anyone that is bold enough to get up on the stage. And so I wanted you to know that the way you're present wherever you are is creating what's possible here. Your attention from the vessel that is you, how you soften and choose vulnerability and your willingness to be affected in this hour, that we're not just talking at you, but that we're in a shared conversation. And so to get to that and the possibilities, it requires us to really arrive as fully as possible. And before we can create the container that is us, you begin with the container that is you. And with this song that Chelsea is going to offer in a few seconds here, I invite you to soften into your being, to pay attention to how you're feeling, to what's moving through your body and your heart and your mind, and that there is nothing that needs doing to all of that other than noticing. That part of the medicine, maybe even that we'll get today, is a sincere attention to one another, and that attention has to start with you. Like I told my daughter when she left, my 11-year-old sixth grader this morning, I said, pay attention to who needs you today, to who needs your care. It's the meaning of life. And she said, oh, and so I don't have to worry about myself. She said it kind of sarcastically. She's getting better at that. I don't know where she gets it from. But in her saying that, I got to be reminded and remind her, like, well, that care for others starts with your own care. And so this song from Chelsea, as much as it might be entertaining to listen to because of the talented musician that she is, I suggest you really receive it as medicine and a softening and an invitation for arrival here. Close your eyes and really let it do that for you.
Thank you, Ned, and thank you, Lady Bird. I'm thinking of starting with this song that is about kind of being carried by the seasons of joy and loss, even as sometimes it feels like we're being batted around by those seasons. There's also a sense of being carried by them. It's your first California spring. Welcome to the blossoming. Just when you thought the darkness had enveloped everything, that's when the cherry buds start opening. Welcome to the bay laurels and the redwood fairy rings. Welcome to the water oaks and their ever winter green. I know it's only February. I know you didn't see it coming. Now you know the dark ain't as far as it seemed. Now you know the spark is not everlasting. Now you know to guard it with every ounce of your being. Now you know how hard it is to keep promises to seeds. We give in to the dark every night. We give in to the daylight. We give in to the seasons of our fleeting lives. Every time, every time, every time. It's your first California fall. Are you ready to lose it all? The fire is knocking at your door. Are you ready? Are you ready for more? It swallowed up the bay laurels and the redwood fairy rings. It swallowed up the water oaks and the river summer green. I know it's only August 18th. I know you didn't see it coming. Now we know the dark ain't as far as it seemed. Now we know the spark is not everlasting. Now we know to guard it with every ounce of our being. Now we know how hard it is to trust promises from seeds. We give in to the dark every night. We give in to the daylight. We give in to the seasons of our fleeting lives. Every time, every time, every time. Every time, every time, every time. Thank you.
Tempting to not ever speak again. And I'm going to start speaking because that's why you're here. And the quality that I experienced in this song opened up a vastness in me that I feel is exactly what grief and gratitude is about. The vastness in you meeting the vastness in both the universe and the vastness in other beings. And there's a lot of conversation, beautiful conversation around, trying to articulate what grief is or isn't, or what gratitude is or isn't. And teachers, use the word of work as a skill. Stephen Jenkinson called it a skill. Francis Weller calls it sacred work, which can sometimes sound like a job or a task to master if you don't get it back into the vastness of what a skill is, right? So in our smaller sort of functional, productive reality, it's hard to hear those words and feel the vastness of a skill or the vastness of work. But I was speaking with a client recently, and whose partner had died, and what she was able to articulate was that it was so wonderful to be sitting with somebody who could hear the grief that was there present about the immediate loss, but also still hold the complexity of who she was as a human being in the world, right? That I didn't lose sight of her vastness while she was maybe falling into this very focused part of an experience of grief. And I feel like that's when I hear about like, what is the work or what is the invitation, around grief and gratitude, it's, can we fall into the dark and the light, right? Are we falling into this vastness? And sometimes people feel that if you fall into the vastness, you'll never come out. Well, usually the sun does arise again, generally. I mean, it might not in your heart. You might not feel it. You might not see it or be interested in it. Um, but the vastness is there. And I think that's where I'm focusing right now in my life with this, my own relationship with grief and gratitude is not so much trying to track down the things I'm grateful for or articulate better the things that I'm grieving and make sure I've been grieving them appropriately, but to like throw open my arms and just move back into the vastness of the mystery of being alive. So I'm wondering if that song, Chelsea, if that's what you experience when you're sharing it in the programs. Like, what is the alchemy? What happens when you're sharing this work?
Thank you for that, Ladybird. Yeah, there's this one of the main things that I wanted to convey with the song, or that I try to deepen into in the work of grief, is like being just as open to the mystery of unexpected joy as I am to the mystery of unexpected loss, and like trust that both of those will happen. You know, that it's like if I dive into a darker time, like it is the most likely thing that there will also be unexpected joy and beauty and good things falling in to my lap as well. And so it's more about like noticing all of it and paying attention to all of it and staying open to all of it. And that makes it so I can dip in to those more like I can trust that if I dip into a darker time, it's not forever, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Paying attention. I sometimes think that's what presence is, you know, it's paying attention right now in this moment. I'm paying attention.
Yeah. And in grief, it sometimes there can be an attachment to like, oh, in order to honor this person I lost, I have to be sad, you know, or else it doesn't honor them. And we could say the same thing about I have to be joyful, or else it doesn't honor them.
Right.
And
Yeah.
yeah, but to like the presence of being like, well, what am I actually feeling today? That's that's what I want to pay attention to, you know, not what I'm supposed to be feeling or what I think someone expects me to be feeling, but what is it actually like today? And that can help free us from maybe some like unnecessary suffering,
Mm.
I think.
Mm.
Like begin to remove those layers of, well, what am I supposed to be feeling? What am I supposed to, what's it supposed to look like?
Yeah. And when I hear that concept of being freed from suffering, I think back to just the honor of being in these circles in San Quentin and even in Avenal prison, where what that freedom meant was actually reconnection to the world, right? It's not that, oh, that I no longer care or have this grief or even a regret or a sadness or even a place of judgment around something that has happened, but that I'm not disconnected.
Yeah, that feels especially important. We just had one of our open mics last night here in San Francisco, and it's a grief and gratitude open mic. We sort of purposely named it that after years of having it just be called You're Going to Die, Poetry, Prose, and Everything Goes, which is a little bit of a play on words there. But it felt important in the last 5 years coming into the pandemic and out of it to really accent the point of the space to, like, I love this calling Stephen Jenkinson's work in, one of my first teachers for sure. And if you all haven't seen the documentary Grief Walker, it's a nice beginning to his work. For me, it was incredibly important at a really important stage of this career path, which was kind of right around the time when I came across BJ Miller's work too. And he puts it as us not being able to have the rose or the flower fully if we don't accept its dying also and love it. And this feels true for me with grief, to know in life, in relationship to life and the many parts of life, the people and the beautiful, awesome things, to know that part of what we choose in fully loving it and being grateful for it is also the like losing it. Um, like especially with the flower, knowing its most fragrant time is like a mark of death, of it going away. Um, that was such a pivotal lesson and teaching for me from him. And the space of the open mic last night was like that kind of stretching. And more than ever, too, it is that. It's like you could come here like some people came, and some people may be feeling today like devastated and lost and alone, and know like there's room here. And that at a minimum, the hope would be in an evening like last night or in an hour like this, your feeling you maybe would leave with is remembering you're not alone, that we're not taking away that even that experience of aloneness you could use as a I'm belong somehow because other people I know feel this too. And that's like a certainty, but we forget that in our little drama, and our little bodies and our little hearts and minds so easily. And more than ever, I think, in our times, especially maybe in our culture here in North America, the work it takes to like go to even click on a Zoom link like you all did today and be together in community like this, it can be very hard to be in that space last night. And I was driving there feeling me needing to push through what's between me and an event like that, the things that would very easily keep me on my couch in front of Netflix, sort of zoning out and numbing out. Which, by the way, like, I just want to acknowledge the times we need that kind of being in the world. Like if I was doing all of this all the time, my head would explode. My heart would burst. So
Mm.
I really want to acknowledge like we need that. We need those times. And then last night was like, well, this is not the time for that. You'll get to that couch later. But what you'll get when you get to that couch actually by leaning into this evening is actually being on the couch with the community you're about to be with. Like my time
Mhm.
on the couch, which I absolutely got at the very end of the day, was me with all of these stories and poems and songs and brokenness and heartbreak and joy and laughter that we'd made room for in that container where we could see within minutes of time someone get on stage and fully fall apart, angry, weeping, shouting into the mic from that experience of being alive. And then in the next instant, we would have someone get up who name the most beautiful, joyful, funny things about their aliveness. And these were like next to each other. And that's the stretch that I am
Mhm.
so compelled towards and curious about. Matters so much to me to have that experience and share it with others and not be together to change it or make it better necessarily, but to, yes, like you said, Lady Bird, like you said, Chelsea, this experience of like connection and belonging.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And there's something in that connection between freedom and that belonging that like there's like an unburdening when we are able to be witnessed by others and have the understanding that others are going through some of the similar things that we're going through. There's like it can feel freeing because it's like there's like a lightening, like you don't have to carry it all on your own. It's like a bigger force holding it with you. And that connection can give us that sense, I think.
Yeah, the possibility of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. to know that maybe someone left last night or might leave today and be like, actually, I feel pretty alone still, and just knowing like sometimes that's what it means to be alive,
Yeah.
but that the possibility could be there, and that we together are stretching enough to like make more room for the possibilities. And by the way, when we talked about having this hour together with all of you, my feeling is like many things to share and talk about and questions for Chelsea and Ladybird and I to kind of bounce back and forth with. And like the hope is that we're getting to do this with you, like I described a version of at the beginning. And that will include time to actually experience the thing we're talking about. Like we did a little bit of, and maybe are still doing, and we'll offer some prompts through the end of our time together to make room for you to experience that thing we're talking about, which feels so much better than like, well, I'll talk for an hour about how
Right.
great it is to be connected. And then bye everybody, good luck. And reminding all of you that the chat's there to throw questions at us. If you want, thoughts and questions, please like put them in the chat. We can use your input and kind of work through the hour together with you in conversation with us.
Yeah, and I would actually invite Ned to go ahead and offer a prompt. I mean, we're already almost halfway through this hour. It goes by so quickly. I would love that we start engaging throughout this process. If it's a question or another song, or what can sort of bring in these beautiful beings who are with us that we can't see.
Yeah. So I'm not used to the metal webinar space, but I see someone's raised their hand. My guess
Oh,
is
yeah.
that we have them put their question into the chat, or I defer to who knows
Can we
what
get,
some,
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, we can do that right now. We can absolutely do that. Karen, you know how to do this. I'll unmute you on this end. You might have to on your end.
I think I am unmuted
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
so
Hi,
much.
Karen.
And I first have to say, um, Ned, I needed that permission slip to binge as one who is
Mm.
deep into Endeavor, which I
Yeah.
think has been out for decades. But anyway, I'll try to be quick. I'm a stage 4 lung cancer with metastasis patient in year number 5. I'm an outlier. I've been blessed. I'm a super responder to immunotherapy, but who knows? I don't know when I'm going to die. But I think it's a great irony and disservice to persons with serious illness, or at least for cancer, that we are told we are survivors from the moment of diagnosis. And that may be true, but I don't think care teams roll that out very early. It takes a long time to get traction with that. And instead of that messaging around survivorship, we should have a courage in care teams, or at least in oncology, to be able to say, you are going to die. And this conversation comes at such a good time. I'm in a course, an ECHO course on palliative care, and heard a case on prolonged grief disorder, which I think the emphasis was on looking at it at the death moment or after prolonged illness. And I thought, gosh, if we could have honest conversations that would help us talk about the fact that we are going to die, my voice is unreliable, we'd be so much better served. Sorry about that. So this kind of this dialectic, we are going to die, but we're not invited to that conversation, at least in the realm of oncology. Although my own oncologist was double board certified, he also is palliative care. So I got a palliative care referral pretty early. I was fortunate. And my last thought was I think it's Stephen Jenkins, when it dawned on me that when one asks a cancer patient,
what do you want, or a person with serious illness, we say we want more time. And it may be Jenkins who says, we're in the more time. We also
Hmm.
need to be helped to see that we are living in the more time, whether we have a terminal illness or not. But what a beautiful conversation. I've
Hmm.
received so many gifts from Metal, and meeting Chelsea, you and Ned is one of the gifts. I feel I know Lady Bird, so I send love to all of you. Thanks so much
Thank you,
for this
Karen.
this conversation. Okay,
Hmm.
bye.
Thank you. I'm so glad you're here and alive. Yeah, I'm not sure there's more to say than what you declared. I agree. um, it's interesting to do many programs that we do out of our work with the nonprofit You're Going to Die, and have all those programs be called something else because both there is sort of a cultural pushback, and not everybody's like you. Not everybody wants to go to their doctor and have them say you're going to die. And however true it may be, in the facilitation work I do with UCSF Art for Recovery, which again is like the space we've described and we're even holding here, a little more creative invitation, right, for processing, writing, creating art to get catharsis and connect with people who understand more than anybody else in your life, and those people in your life, Karen. But to know that part of the point of that space is that we're making room for all types of experience, and that we may not lead with the mortality, but if we choose to be with a community like that and lean into what we're living through, especially with others who are living through versions of it too, you're going to end up in a circle where that fact is going to emerge. You're going to be like I was in a space with yesterday morning with a group of 15 women in a writing workshop, and one of the women is zooming in from her deathbed. To know that we're choosing to face those things when we choose to be with other people who may go before us. And that it might not need to be I declare this to you at the beginning, even though some of those patients would describe their doctor as saying, this is uncertainty that you're entering, and it will always be uncertain. To have an honest response to a diagnosis be, we don't know. Like, I know you understand more than most, Karen, with your diagnosis. And so it's just another accent on the belonging and the connectedness of a circle where you could go and get that reminder just by choosing to be with other people. That same group that's been around since the beginning of the pandemic has lost 5 to 10 community members in the time that they've been together. And so it's like our lesson ongoing when we're with each other, like we were at that open mic last night, and like we'll get to do today, is the like getting confronted by these truths, because we get it from a community, and maybe we don't need our oncologist to say it. We'll go do that. That's our work. So thanks for calling all that in.
Mm-hmm.
I see Karen Kane has a question. I'll stop talking and maybe see if Chelsea or Ladybird wants to reply. I have lots to say to your question, Karen.
Yeah,
How do you let yourself feel these feelings if you don't want to?
yeah,
Crooked smile emoji.
that's a good way with the crooked smile, actually. I mean, the first thought that was coming to me because I saw that question also, Ned, so thank you for bringing it in. And this is purely my perspective. This isn't like truth with a capital T or anything. I mean, all of what we're sharing are just our perspectives and opinions. But I'm of the belief that you're never not feeling your feelings. There's a common statement in hospice work sometimes where people will say this person is in denial about their death. It's a really rare moment that I am convinced that someone internally is not having the experience that they're having, and you're just not experiencing it with them. They're not articulating it. So what I would say to that is that, again, that place of judgment around getting it right or feeling it a certain way or expressing it the way that other person is doing it, or enough or at the right time, that your experience is happening within you, regardless of how it's presenting. And at any given moment, the invitation or the the safety or the courageousness of the space you're in invites maybe a different presentation of it. So what Ned and Chelsea offer with these open mics, it's not that all of a sudden everybody that comes is magically like a master of grief or expression, but the alchemy of being like what you were just saying, being around other expressions of living, doesn't have to actually just be grief, awakens us. It's how we learn how to speak, right? We don't just sit in a silent room by ourselves and magically have a language come to us. It needs to be mirrored to us. And so trusting that just reaching out a little bit, even if it goes in the opposite direction of where you think you're going to find that emotion, is kind of the pathway. So that's my perspective, is that I feel like when people say, oh, I can't access that, I'm like, I bet you are access. The fact that you're even questioning access to me indicates that there's something there. And trusting in that and paying attention. And Chelsea, you spoke to this about like just turning towards it, right? Hi, who is in there?
Yeah.
I don't want to go on and on, but Chelsea, maybe.
Well, yeah, I want to tie back in what has come up around, kind of almost jokingly, around like binging or being on the couch. So like we already have methods and tools for calibrating and like managing our emotions. And so, and I know it can definitely feel like if I let myself feel this feeling, I'm going to be lost in the tsunami of these feelings. It can definitely feel that way sometimes. But the reality in my experience working with people and myself is that like that there is a possibility of titrating it a bit. There is a possibility of dipping in and then, okay, I had 10 minutes of that. I'm going to go watch Netflix again. Like there are ways we can dip into it. We don't have to necessarily feel it all at once. It doesn't have to be this big confronting, like, okay, I'm going to feel it all in one day. Catharsis, it doesn't have to be especially cathartic, Sometimes it is, but it doesn't have to be. It can be dipping into it, feeling the discomfort of it, and then saying, okay, maybe I'll take a little more time with it tomorrow,
Which actually makes me think about another song. Like we can get, especially on webinars, we can get so cognitive and like, let's just talk about this a lot and talk and talk and talk. And we forget that dropping back into the felt. So I know I'm being a little bit directive, but I'm also like, we don't have all
good.
day.
You're right. We don't. We could talk so long. I'm seeing all the comments too in the chat.
Yeah.
I want to heart them all, but I don't have the option to, so I'm hearting them out loud. Can I help transition us into a song with just a brief response?
I think that'd be great.
The prompt that we want to offer with this song, so it is a chance to like receive the music like you were invited to at the beginning of our session, and it's a chance to actually name what you're holding. And it could be like something that's been clarified in the time we've been together. It could be something you're very clear you brought in today, a grief you're feeling, anger, rage. It could be a joy, a curiosity, whatever it is, to give us the stretch of this song to kind of note it and put it in the chat, to know like part of what we're going to get to experience is what we've been describing again, right? This witnessing of each other. And to know there's gifts, like this woman came up to me yesterday and said, I just don't want to burden anybody with what I'm going through. And for me, I wanted her to understand that it's a withholding the possibility that we could matter to her, even just in how honored we are to hear what has broken her heart. And so I invite you in the same way to take a risk and put into the chat as you listen to Chelsea's song, what's real and true for you, most raw. Sometimes I would describe it like my mother's death, that led to this work for me, that thing I hold in my heart more than anything. It defines my lived experience, and I wasn't naming it enough with community. And so You're Going to Die came into being mainly because of that personally. And then just to accent the like, what you might put in the chat is, I don't want to. To know like what we're making room for is even to be able to articulate, like one of the guys in San Quentin said to me, I can't cry like you. naming that is so significant. Like that is feeling your feelings, actually. To say I don't want to is feeling your feelings. That is a place that you're at. That's what I feel. And thank you, Ladybird, for the like reminder of this is just what I feel. That's not the end all be all truth, but it's something I've learned in my experience in life and with this work. So again, Chelsea's going to offer another song and use the chat as a place to type and name the thing you're holding.
This song I wrote during a retreat we were facilitating with exonerated folks in Ohio, and yeah, this was like my prayer or like trying to work on that skill of how do I open even more? How do I feel even more? Let my heart be broken by all the love that wants to break free. And let no stream be dammed up by the locks within me, and falling like a river on its way out to the sea, finding all the cracked open stones that made a way for me. So let my heart be broken for all the walls between you and me. And let no chance be squandered to set each other free, and falling like a river on its way out to the sea, carving out the valley where I can rest with thee, carving out the valley where I can rest with thee.
Just noticing again what happens when we expand and contract, right? I know for myself, I was finding as we were talking more and more, this sort of contracting up into my head and wanting to understand, and then listening to you singing and the playing, and then this sort of expanding back out, and then maybe a little tremoring and like, oh, I don't want to expand too far because that feels so tender. And watching the comments come up, these beautiful shares, and knowing that Ned is tracking them. And so it felt like there's this being that we're being held in this space right now, and that the invitation is to just feel what it's like to expand and contract. We're doing it all the time. We're constantly expanding and contracting into every moment, and some are a little bit, some aren't as comfortable as others, I would say. I don't want to say easy or hard, just not as comfortable. And we tend to preference things that are comfortable. But it's the same expansion and contraction. So just as we go back into words, just track that inside of yourself. Where are you expanding and where are you contracting? Grief and gratitude, or grief and reverence. I'm almost like gratitude is I'm not done with that word, and I totally understand it, but
Wait a second. This is what I've been wanting to hear more about this. Can you say more, Ladybird, about that?
I'm not done with gratitude, but
Yeah.
I feel like, for my experience in America, in the culture, that we're just so grabby. We grab onto everything and then we just like tear it apart, or just it disintegrates into something else. And so even with words or experiences, and gratitude came in so innocently when it came in, and then there were gratitude journals, and then it became a job of gratitude and a comparison of your gratitude compared to somebody else's gratitude. And when I think of reverence, that to me, I go back into, oh, how is it that I'm relating to something and it's relating to me? And there's this shared experience of existence. So reverence to me is like a bowing down. It's not about that I feel happy, or I don't know. It's hard to. I don't want to go into the depths of it, but to me, there's a little bit of a different quality. And so I can even bring that into the people that I care about. When someone says, how do you, like Frank says, welcome everything, push away nothing. Frank Ostaseski in the 5 wishes, or the 5, not the 5 wishes.
5 invitations.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That it's not that you like everybody or you agree with everything or you want to be near everything, but there's a reverence for existence that includes everything. And that to me feels like a different quality to cultivate than a gratitude. Gratitude comes from reverence in my experience.
Yeah.
I feel like reverence includes some kind of dedication to what you're revering.
Right.
Whereas gratitude doesn't necessarily include that.
Yes, exactly. It doesn't have to.
Yeah. It could just be something you take and run with and don't do anything.
Right.
It can be just like your own personal experience, but reverence, like you said, it indicates something relational.
Right. And it goes back to this mortality that Ned, that you brought in, that Stephen Jenkinson brings in. Like, when you recognize reverence, it's like you recognize you're not going to be here forever. And neither is anything that you're having reverence for, right? And so it automatically brings you back into relationship with death.
Yeah. I see Alan has raised his hand.
Great.
I don't know, Sonia, if you can do unmute there, or Alan, if you want to type your question or comment in the chat. A couple options.
Totally. Alan, there you go. And Alan, you might have to unmute yourself on your end.
Oh, there you are. I can hear you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Hi. Thank you. Thank you for this today. What I have to say is maybe a bit tangential, but I think it still applies. When Chelsea said just being able to talk and feel heard, and the idea that other people, if you're not going through it, the exact same thing, you're at least people can empathize. I had I'll contextualize by saying I had a dark tetrad sibling, and their makeup, they actually aren't considered insane per se, but their makeup is that they regulate their self-esteem by cruelty toward anyone who threatens it in any way. And this was a sibling that was like 5 years older than me. So when I was a boy, that was a tremendously big jump. And I do know that, like, throughout my childhood, he was just someone I had to avoid. And I did a lot of denial. I would say, he can't possibly be that cruel. And there was I'm a very practical man. Like, why is he why is he seemingly cruel to me when I didn't do anything to incite it? I just didn't, a boy especially wouldn't be able to work that out. But late and then both of my parents died when I was pretty young. Like my dad, I was like 19, and then my mother's been gone for decades, like 30 years. So I did finally figure out what was going on. And in the people of origin dynamic. But what happened after I did a lot of forgiveness work is I began to piece together that this dark tetrad sibling, he was just obsessed. Like, I have to keep this little guy down. I have to crush his spirit. I have to do whatever I can, which is very typical dark tetrad behavior, I learned. What I learned is that he was also working behind the scenes and with other siblings, and then also with my parents. And I came to a lot of undeniable conclusions that he fished them in, and the parents never put together that, like, gosh, it seems like this one child is always doing these cruel things to another. Maybe I should step in. So what happened, unfortunately, is what I'm going through now, which is my parents have died twice. They died the first time, and now they're dying again because they didn't step up. Your parents need to be your protectors, and I know how vividly alive and full of personality and brightness the dark tetrad person can be. These are people that are the center of attention of a room. These are people that are heading industries. These are people that are heading countries. They're tremendously charismatic, and I can allow that a little bit. But my parents died twice, and it's just pretty crummy to go through.
Yeah. Thank you, Alan.
And I don't know that, that there's really nothing that I don't want to put any pressure on you to see anything. But right when Chelsea said that, I thought, yeah, it's okay I can do this, and other people can hold space. And if I wondered if I needed it, and then as I began to talk, how I'm feeling now, thank you, because I did need other human beings to hear this.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. That's it. Thank you, Alan. Yeah.
Thanks, Alan.
I won't say anything in reply to that, Alan. I just want you to know that we receive you, and what a gift it is to know you through this heartbreak and to be carrying you out of this space today, because that is what I will do. Like, much of what Lady Bird said around being together and listening to each other is it is also a way, and this was articulated perfectly by someone last night at the open mic. It is a way for us to find language. And so to know what you've gifted us with, maybe even people in the community here other than me, is a new understanding. You've got people that are holding this with you now. And I know we're almost out of time, and maybe just the perfect moment to transition into one more song to accent your share and to very intentionally end our time together and intentionally choose what is it we helped put down today. Maybe what were we able to put down, even as some of you shared in the chat. And also just a reminder that those of you that didn't enter anything into the chat or that are listening, watching this video, that there is a similar occurrence possible, right? Which is that we are in community with you as well. It doesn't have to be the thing named in text. It doesn't have to be the thing named on the microphone, but that there can be an exchange here. And that there, like Chelsea described, might be a lightning that maybe you're describing feeling, Alan, or even just a not being alone right now. But that we intentionally use this last song to like check in with our nervous system and think, I can put that down. Like someone mentioned something about the loss of siblings. Like I can help put that down. I relate to that. I want to hold it and I want to help lay it down. And also, there's gifts and wisdom and light that was shared here today. What will you take with you? And so, as Chelsea plays one more song, the last prompt is for you to intentionally name those things for yourself and or with us. Use the chat to say like, this is something I'm taking, or this is something I'm putting down. And maybe if you're not ready to put something down, by the way, the option, like we talk about when we say even naming that I can't cry or I don't want to feel my feelings, that's significant in itself. So to even consider the thing leaving this space, like you could notice, wow, I have a significant dark ball of grief that I clarified in this hour, and I can't put it down, but I'm leaving with the option and possibility that I could, and to know that might be the thing you name in the chat.
Yeah.
But I'll hand it over to Chelsea to help us do that with
Thanks.
another song.
I just wanted to briefly respond to what Alan shared before I sing another song. Just with gratitude for the vulnerability of sharing that, because it, over so many years of talking with people who are in grief, like I notice the experiences that people tend to isolate around, and the experiences that people tend to feel more comfortable talking about, and the like experience of working through the complexity of a human being after they have died is really hard for people to talk about with each other. And there's a lot of people who experience that, and a lot of people who feel alone in that. And so I think I just want to name that, Alan, and that like you probably just helped a lot of people feel less alone in the experience of like the multiple layers of grief for the complexity of someone who's already died. And I just wanted to name that. Okay, this song is an a cappella song. I just need to make sure I have the right key for it. Okay. I'm going to take us back to the seasons with this one. If ever we're burnt out and it seems there's nothing left, we can shake off our dead leaves and prune back the rest, and we can plant brand new saplings and give them our best, over and over until we can rest. And we'll bloom in the springtime and fruit in the sun, and in autumn we'll let go of each every one, and in winter we'll listen in stillness and cold, over and over until we grow too old. And when we start to fight and we can't seem to mend, we don't have to break, darling, if we can learn how to bend. And when we grow too withered and the last storm blows, We'll return all our sweetness to the soil again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being willing to receive this moment. If anything, to as a parting word is to maybe consider that moving towards grief and gratitude or reverence is also a movement towards opening and receiving. The first song that you sang, Chelsea. Just opening, right? You don't have to go searching or grabbing; it's there. Thank you both.
Thank you, Lady Bird. Thank you, Sonia. Thank you, Chelsea. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for being with us. Thank you, everyone else, for being with us as well. And Chelsea, thank you for creating this space for everybody. Really wonderful. And definitely feels like a special start for our kind of like season of discussions. Really appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Be
Wishing
gentle.
weekend. Yeah, a gentle weekend. Yeah.
Yeah,
Drink
kind.
lots of water.
Be kind
Yeah.
to yourself. Yeah.
Bye,
Take
everybody.
care, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.